Hello, everybody. It is a Wednesday. That means only one thing. It's time now for Supernatural News and Parashare. And that means one other thing as well. I need a co-hostess. And for that, I'm going to reach my little grubby little paw out. And I'm going to go further than the Twin Cities this time. I'm going to go across a couple of states. That's right. It's time now for me to put my hand out and for you to perk your ears up for the melodious maven of the Midwest, the mistress of the mittenous mainland of Michigan. Ladies and gentlemen, here she is, back once again, Mallie Fox. Hi, Mallie.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
Well,
you took some time to write that one out.
No, I didn't. Actually, I stole this one again from Eric. So I'm recycling.
Well, thank you, Eric.
It's good for the planet. Yeah. So I'm recycling.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Boy, have we got big stories today. But first, I want to gloat a little bit and share in the love a little bit between Minnesota and Michigan. How about that, JJ McCarthy, huh?
Oh.
Yeah. Just want to say that. And then and just smile real big. And sorry, Bears fans. You're seeing the beginning of a legend. Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun Monday night. Yeah.
I'll smile while you can.
Wow, look at that.
I'm just kidding.
Wow. Are you saying you're?
We did not do well.
I was gonna say, for a converted Lions fan, I wouldn't be talking too big right now.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not talking too big whatsoever.
You got trounced by the Packers.
Yeah, on. It's just warm up. We're just getting started.
It's a slow start, my friend.
Yeah, it was a very slow start.
Holy cow, was that a slow start?
Yeah, it was a painful start.
Yeah. I mean, whew.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
about it.
Yeah. Your defensive coordinator did pretty good as a head coach. The Jets, well, no, okay, they didn't do that.
No. Yeah.
Your offensive coordinator did pretty good as a head coach. Oh,
right.
No.
Yeah.
They didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, your team is discombobulated.
Yeah. It's definitely different from last year.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But how about that JJ McCarthy?
Someone's got to be happy.
Yeah, well,
at least it's you.
I'm grinning.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I don't know how long it'll last, but hey. I'm happy. I'm hoping it'll last all 17 weeks. But
take it while you can get it.
That's right. I'll just point out 61-3 for his entire high school and college career. And he started out his pro career 1-0. If he goes 61-3 for the next 64 games of his pro career, I'll be a happy camper. I don't think it'll happen. But if he does, I'll be a happy camper. That would mean that if he won 61 out of his next 64 NFL games, well, he'd go pretty deep in the playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'll take that. Probably deeper than Sam Darnold took us. I'll tell you that. And a hell of a lot deeper than Kirk Cousins ever took us. I'll say this and then we'll move on with news.
Okay.
There was a point in that game, and I've got it on my phone. This is how impressed I am. You ready for this? Ready for this, Mallie? This is how you know you are a starving Minnesota Vikings fan.
Okay.
This look right here, Mallie. This look.
Is your screensaver?
No, but I'm about to make it my screensaver. I just took a picture of this. That look right there. This look right here is the look that I've always wanted to see in a quarterback. You see that look right there?
Yes, but what's funny is it's a reflection of me, my big ass grin right below it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's you liking that. That's you liking that right there. You like that? Like
it looks
Kirk
like
Cousins.
I'm drooling over the photo.
That's right. That's you. That's me as Kirk Cousins saying, "You like that, Mallie? You like that?"
Take it.
But do you see that look right there?
Yes.
All right. Now that look is the look he gave after he put the dagger in the Chicago Bears. That's not a look of him smiling. That's a look of him saying, "I'm gonna kill these guys." Right. That look, that's a competitive look. That's a look of, a killer. That's a look of a guy who's won a national championship. That's a guy who wants to win Super Bowls. That's my quarterback, Mallie. That's my quarterback right there. See, finally we got a winner in Minnesota. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope he can do it.
Oh, I know he can do it.
Okay.
Yeah. It was just that look.
Mm-hmm.
Not you smiling below him, but it was the
right.
Yeah, it was that look.
Mm-hmm.
That looked like he was going to kill everybody. That look, that it was that, I call it the Anakin Skywalker look. That looked like he was going to kill the entire village of children right afterwards. That look, I was like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's turning to the dark side of the Force, you know?
Yeah.
You know, like he's going to pull out the red saber and kill the entire village of Jedi kids. Yeah, now we're doing it. That's what and then I was like, you know what? I have nothing to worry about.
Mm-hmm. Kid's
going to be all right. I think we're going to have a franchise quarterback here.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm a happy camper. All right. Speaking of happy campers, some of the news today may make you happy campers. Some of the news today may scare the hell out of you. I'll preface it with that.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, we got some news today, kid, Mallie, whoever you are. I'm hyped up. I'm excited.
I know you're all worked up.
I'm all worked up. Boy, did they have a meeting on Capitol Hill. Let's start it off with interstellar news here, Mal. I'm not even going to tease what we have today because, well, maybe I'll tease a little bit. We will talk Conjuring movie and we will talk Conjuring house today. One of them did really well. One of them's on the auction block. And one of them is not being talked about really well after the weekend. I'll tell you why. I warned you guys before the weekend. Go see it at a matinee. And there was a reason. Did you know that it wasn't available for media screenings?
No.
There's a reason.
Oh. Did you end up seeing it?
No.
Oh.
I knew better. But we'll talk about it on the second half of the program. Also, just for quick teases before we get to the meat of the program here, the Cottingley Fairies, or the pictures of, sold at auction. We'll tell you the surprising price that they sold for. Like I told Mallie before the show, there's some surprising, shocking stories here that maybe 10, 12 years ago would have hit the mainstream news and would have spun your head.
Pearl clutching
stories. Thank you, Mallie. Pearl clutching stories. This week, mainstream news looks at it and goes, we got better stuff. Which shocks me. Because these are some big stories this week. That's for sure. Russia's Doomsday Radio transmits 2 more mystery messages. We'll tell you what those mystery messages are. And for our palate cleanser for today, we'll tell you about a man who's a little too big for his britches. Yeah, that's coming up as our palate cleanser for today. But first, Mallie, holy shnikes! Probably one of the biggest stories in interstellar news, one of the biggest stories to hit possibly ever, came out of Capitol Hill today. And I have not seen one iota of mainstream news on it yet this afternoon. It didn't break into programming. There was no news alerts. There wasn't a press conference. Believe it or not, the first iota of it I saw was on TMZ. That tells me our country's in a sad state, or we are just so overexposed by Hollywood and by current events that we're tired.
Yeah. Which is scary.
Incredibly scary.
Mm-hmm.
Mallie, when I saw this, my jaw hit the floor. Up on Capitol Hill, they're having yet another UFO and UAP hearing. Which you'd say, okay, it's another UFO, UAP disclosure hearing, which we're not going to hear anything new out of. Boy, did we get something new. There's a piece of footage that George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell exposed to the world last fall, which people wanted to crap all over and say, well, it may be fake. This is not fake, folks. It got verified by the military today as being real. And we're going to post this in the description of the program, this article, so you can watch this footage. But this is a wild clip that just surfaced from this congressional UAP hearing. It shows a glowing orb. I know you're saying, oh, glowing orb. It's because of the way it's shot and the way that this video is shot. But it is a craft that's moving at high speed over water. I'm sorry, not over water. It's cruising over the Yemen coast. It gets hit by a Hellfire missile. And we're talking a direct hit. And this missile bounces off of it like nothing happened. And it shatters the UAP into 4 pieces. But the UAP keeps flying at the current rate of speed in 4 pieces. So in other words, it hit it, it skips off. It's a direct hit. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't damage the UAP, even though it's in pieces. And it keeps flying. In other words, we can't kill these things.
Right.
We can't destroy them.
Mm-hmm. It didn't explode, which a normal craft would have exploded.
Normally, if you hit something with a Hellfire missile, one, it explodes like you just said, Mallie. Boom, gone. There was no detonation. It skipped off like it wasn't there. 2, it splintered. What drone? Some idiot in the comments said, oh, it's a drone. What drone splinters when you hit it with a missile? Mm-hmm. So that's stupid. I don't know what idiot said that. It splintered and then kept traveling. And it kept traveling at a high rate of speed. This thing turned me on my ear. Missouri Congressman Eric Burleson whipped out this footage in D.C. showing an MQ-9 Reaper tailing the mystery orb on... They keep using the word orb in this TMZ story, and it's not accurate. On October 30th of 2024. But when the drone got the green light to fire, the missile literally bounced off, and the thing zipped away at an insane speed, totally unfazed. Burleson, a big-time advocate for government transparency on unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAP, drove the point home. This footage came straight from a whistleblower, and it's now under independent review. The footage hit like a bombshell in the middle of the congressional hearing as 3 Navy and Air Force vets swore under oath that they've seen UFOs with their own eyes and dropped the hammer, accusing U.S. intel of running a full-blown cover-up. Filmmaker Jeremy Corbell also hopped on TMZ Live on Tuesday to break down the landmark UAP hearing, pointing out how the object peeled off from the main craft and kept flying after the failed shoot-down attempt, while also dishing fresh details from the historic session, commending witnesses for boldly naming names on the congressional record. As you know, UFOs always stir the pot. Skeptics scoff. Believers yell, "Told you so." But this clip proves things aren't so black and white. No tech we know eats a missile and keeps cruising like a boss. This is next level, never before seen stuff. So the real question is, what the hell are we actually dealing with here? Mm-hmm. I don't think this is, if this is modern day tech, boy, it's some new stuff. And if this is from another world, you got to ask yourself the question, Mallie, what do we do for security?
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's
either one is scary,
right? Because if it's a human-made craft, we can't defend ourselves from whatever country made this. And if it's from another world, we're effed. Because this thing just shrugged off a missile, a Hellfire missile, like it was nothing. And just kept going. The only thing short of a nuke, and even a nuke, it probably would just, eat it for breakfast and keep moving. And this didn't make headline news. Why? Why do you think, Mallie? Why didn't this make headline news?
I don't know. It's strange. Or you know how sometimes something's released to the public, but then there's like a bigger story to distract us. But I don't remember any story coming out today that would distract us from this story.
I mean, there's no, screw the Epstein files. I mean, honest to God. I mean, okay, so Congress gets the birthday book from the Epstein files. Big deal. Okay. I've seen the drawings. I also saw the drawings on TMZ as well. Big deal. We know what's in the Epstein files. It doesn't matter how salacious whatever's in there. It doesn't matter what lawmakers are in there. Okay. So they're pedophiles. All right, fine. Arrest them. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about a threat that is either, if it's earthbound, could take you over in a minute. If it's from another world, we've got issues. Because it can blow through your defenses in a second.
Do you think people don't want to acknowledge it because it'll freak them out if they think about it long enough?
They should be.
I know, but maybe they don't want to dwell on it. Maybe they're just hoping or thinking that, okay, it can't be real. It can't be real. Even though, you've got the government saying, okay, it's real. You've got, but I don't know.
I honestly think people need to watch that video with open eyes and go, holy shit.
Because I think the alien in Florida or in the mall got more attention than this did.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what? One was walking around in a mall. When you see it eat a missile and keep moving, that's when you need to, and the fact that the government took a shot at it, because here's the deal, folks, and supposedly, and after watching it, and I encourage you, watch the interview with Jeremy on TMZ, because they go more into depth with the story. Jeremy even says, because Harvey asks him the question. I watched the entire interview with Jeremy Corbell. I found this incredibly fascinating. Harvey asked Jeremy at one point, why would they even fire on this thing? Where is it that they decide to fire on this thing? And Corbell says over and over and over again, this thing flew into restricted airspace. It was at a point where it was putting either American soldiers' lives or restricted property at risk. In other words, top secret property or top secret anything at risk. So this is flying into restricted airspace. It's going to a place where nobody should go. It's going, and it's been given warning. So even though it may not be answering a CB radio, or it may not be answering any type of radio, it's been warned that it's going to be shot down. It doesn't care. It's going to take the flight pattern it's going to take. So they probably fired a warning shot over its bow. Didn't care. It was still going to go where it's going to go. At that point, it's taken it down. ate it for breakfast, kept moving. At that point, it's totally up to that entity or whatever it is that's flying that thing as to what it's going to do. If it wanted to go into our restricted airspace, find whatever target it wanted to hit and blow it to smithereens, it was up to that thing at that point. Now, what if that was a nuclear missile site or silo?
Mm-hmm.
It could have took out our nukes. What if that was a nuclear power plant? It could have caused a complete meltdown. There's some doomsday scenarios here that you can think of.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone assumes aliens are love and light and they're here to help us, folks. And I'm here to tell you, I don't think that's a scenario at all. I really don't.
Could they get close enough where it looked like, where they could tell if it was manned or unmanned?
No.
I guess you'd say manned or unmanned.
No, it looks like two blips, like about this big.
Oh, okay.
Just boom. But whatever that thing is, whatever that craft is, it's a little bigger. It's probably 1.5 times the size of the missile that hits it. But you can see it. They zoom in on it. There's the original size of the video, and then they zoom in, so they show you exactly. There's an eerie perspective of this, Mal, where you see the ship flying, and then you see the cruise missile skip off the top of it, just boom, almost like it's got a force field around it, but at the same time it got through, and as it hits, the impact is such that it splinters it. But it keeps moving at the same time. So it's like, okay, it's almost like it fractured it, right?
Right.
It's almost like if you were able to break a bone, but still able to walk on it, which is unfathomable. I don't know how you do that, but it did it. It managed to hold everything together and move. I don't know how you do that. I still can't wrap my brain around it. But it's on tape. Again, I'll place it in the description of this program so you can watch it. It's a whole new deal. And yet, nobody broke into programming. Yeah, we'll talk politics all day long. We'll break into programming and interrupt whatever your soap opera is for the most ridiculous crap in the world. Yeah. Interesting stuff. Now, as far as these hearings on Capitol Hill, they are entitled Restoring Public Trust Through UAP Transparency and Whistleblower Protection. I don't know that you instilled my trust in anything today. I don't know that I trust anybody after this.
Right.
But supposedly, Uncle Bob sent me a message yesterday saying that there are 3 videos, count them 3, that will be shown in these hearings that have never been seen before. This was one. There are 2 others that are coming. If this was the first one, I don't know what the other 2 are going to be.
Right.
But holy cow. Hold on to your socks, folks. This is going to be an interesting round. Now, I told him, I said, color me impressed when they start bringing abductees to these meetings and actually start talking about abductees and,
right,
how we start really getting down to brass tacks and solving issues, right? But the fact that the government came forward and said, hey, you know what? We fired on these things and it didn't do a thing. Now they're acknowledging that they've gone up against these things. I'm a little impressed. Instead of just sitting there and going, well, we don't know what it is. Why don't you come forward and tell us what it is? Because that's lazy. Now they're saying, no, you know what? We have gone up against it and we don't know what it is. Okay, now I'm impressed. Because now you've shown us footage.
Right.
Now I'm a little impressed. So that's the bombshell we open with today. That's interesting. With that in mind, that little thing that's traversing through the universe that they don't know whether it is a visitor or a comet called 3I Atlas, which Travis seemed to think is, or he's rooting for a spaceship full of aliens, along with Avi Loeb. I'm convinced it's still a comet. They're calling it an interstellar object, is supposed to pass by Mars in the very near future. An interstellar object thought by some to be an artificial construct will fly past Mars in 1 month's time, Mallie. So it's getting close.
Right.
We've talked about the mysterious object known as 3I Atlas in recent months, a visitor from another solar system that, while officially classed as a comet by scientists, thought by some, including Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb, to be a piece of extraterrestrial technology. But they have talked about turning some cameras on it from the Jupiter project to see if it is one or the other. For him and others, getting a close-up look at this object is of critical importance, which is why its upcoming close flyby of Mars could be the opportunity that we've been waiting for. On October 3rd, 3I Atlas will pass within 30 million kilometers of Mars, much closer than it will ever get to the Earth, providing a unique chance to take some detailed photographs. To this end, the European Space Agency is preparing to turn the cameras of its Mars orbiters towards the object in the hope that it could capture some useful imagery. We can confirm that we are planning to observe the 3I Atlas around the time of its closest approach to Mars, said ESA project scientist Colin Frank Wilson. This is predicted to occur on October 3rd of 2025. On this date, the object will still be approximately 30 million kilometers from Mars. We will attempt to obtain images of the object using the high-resolution stereo camera on board Mars Express. Mars Express sounds like a candy bar, doesn't it? Or,
yeah, it does.
or a place you'd stop for a slushie. And also with the color and stereo surface imaging system aboard TGO. It will certainly be interesting to see what images the orbiters manage to capture. All right, so what if we get double whammied here, Mallie? And they take a picture of this thing, and it turns out it's a spaceship with a bunch of aliens waving like this. At that point, do we crap our pants? What do you think?
I'm still thinking about the last story, so bear with me.
That's all right. That's all right. I'll tell you what. I'll give you another one here, and then we'll weigh in. Speaking of Mars, Mars has a solid inner core, much like the Earth. So there's Mars is a lot more like Earth than what we thought. We keep talking about Elon Musk wanting to settle Mars for some reason. New research has solved one of the most long-standing mysteries about the interior of the red planet. Two scientists, Kevin Olson and Myri Reed, have discovered that Mars has an interior structure similar to Earth's. Results from NASA's InSight mission suggest that the red planet has a solid inner core surrounded by a liquid outer core, potentially resolving a long-standing mystery. The findings, which are published in Nature, Nature magazine, not Nature as in nature, you can't just go walk out into the forest and find this stuff, have important implications for our understanding of how Mars evolved. Billions of years ago, the planet may have had a thicker atmosphere that allowed liquid water to flow to the surface, or on the surface, rather. The thicker atmosphere may have been kept in place by a protective magnetic field like the one that the Earth has. However, Mars lacks such a field today. Scientists have wondered whether the loss of this magnetic field led to the red planet losing its atmosphere to space over time and becoming the cold, dry desert that it is today. It's odd as well, A key property of the Earth that its core has a solid center and liquid outer core. It sounds delicious, by the way. I think I skipped dinner. Convection within the liquid layer creates a dynamo, producing the magnetic field. The field deflects charged particles ejected by the sun, preventing them from stripping the Earth's atmosphere away over time and leading to the habitable conditions that we now know and enjoy. From residential magnetization in the crust, we think that Mars did once have a magnetic field, possibly from a core structure similar to that of Earth. However, scientists think that the core must have cooled and stopped moving at some point in its history. Just real quick here, on the surface of Mars, there's a tremendous amount of evidence that liquid water once flowed, suggesting more hospitable conditions in the past. The evidence comes in many forms, including dry lake beds with minerals that formed underwater, or the dramatic valley networks carved by rivers and streams. However, the Martian atmosphere is thin today, and the necessary amount of water is nowhere to be found. It's kind of an interesting theory, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they're now saying that, you know, through the different experiments they've run and through the different things they're finding with rovers and whatnot, that Mars has that same solid inner core like the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it.
Well, I hope whatever happened to Mars' atmosphere does not happen to ours.
You know,
since they're thinking that we're similar.
They say that it's possible within 1 billion years that Earth will be exactly like Mars, that someday we won't have that atmosphere, that the planet will die, that there's a shelf life. And that someday somebody will fly by and go, oh, there's the Earth. It was full of life one day, in the past, but no longer. I don't know, It's, we tend to think that Earth isn't this living, breathing organism, right? Mm-hmm. But it really is, It's, I think we tend to think of it as this place that just, has these odd things that happen to it, and it has weather systems and all that, and I think we think of it as a house,
right?
That it's built, it's stable, we set our things up on it, and it's just going to be there for us, and it's a stable foundation. And it's not. It's a living, breathing organism that we just happen to be holding on to. We just, we're like ticks on a dog right now. We're barely holding on for dear life. And, sometimes we bite a little too hard onto the dog, and the dog wants to shake us off. And it happens all the time, And then we wonder when we get wild weather patterns, or we get, the Earth tries to kick us off, why it's upset, Well, it's because we're a little too mean to the dog. Got to be nice to doggy if we don't want to get kicked off the back, right? It's just the way it is. But it is a living, breathing organism. And sometimes if you don't take care of that living, breathing organism, it does die off, It died off, and it has life cycles. It just has natural life cycles. Everything in the universe does. So, speaking of, I have a story here we can giggle over in a moment. I have this one we're not going to giggle over. We will in the next story, though, Mallie. This story is a little alarming because, we were talking about going to Mars, right? And these different missions, going to the moon, going to Mars, wanting to travel outside of our planet. Our planet is kind of the ultimate biosphere, for lack of a better term. It's perfectly suited for or at least close to perfectly suited for our meat suits.
That sounds lovely.
Meat suits, right? NASA's finding that space travel can actually cause our stem cells to age 10 times faster. Maybe we don't want to get out there quite yet.
No. Like I said, I am perfectly fine staying right here.
Right. According to new NASA research, being in space can be hazardous to your health in more ways than one. When I was a kid, I always thought it'd be cool to go to space. Mm-hmm. I always thought the space shuttle was the coolest thing in the world. I really did. But they're saying it would be fair to say that heading to the final frontier is not for the faint of heart, especially for those who value their long-term health. Spending even modest amount of time in space brings with it the risk of developing a whole variety of debilitating health conditions, Previous research into human space travel has revealed that astronauts can suffer from bone density loss, muscle weakening, and shrinkage. No, I'm not looking down there. As well,
must be cold up there.
It's very cold in space. Yeah. As well as vision problems, heart issues, balance problems, sleep disturbances, an increased risk of cancer, and much more.
That's not good.
Yeah. As if this wasn't already bad enough, a new study has found that human stem cells can age while up in space up to 10 times faster than they would if the person was on terra firma, or Earth. Stem cells are important as they can develop into various other types of tissue and are essential to our body's ability to regenerate and repair damage to tissues and organs. This tissue could lead to all manner of age-related conditions and reduce the lifespan of anyone who spends too long in space. All of this is particularly problematic because in order for humans to travel to Mars, for instance, it will be necessary to spend much longer in space than anyone else has done up until now. Even getting to Mars will take 6 months at the very least. Unless these health concerns can be addressed, it might not be feasible for anyone to spend more than a short period of time in space at any one time. So if it's dangerous to be out there, then why should we be out there? Right? Is there any way for us to shorten that trip or protect ourselves during that trip so that we don't damage ourselves? That's the question.
Well, the two people that were stuck up there for a while,
yeah,
I thought that the lady looked a lot older when she came back.
Right. They didn't look healthy when they came back. Right. And that may have a lot to do with just the aging of being in space and the fact that it did affect everything, all their systems, not just stem cells, but everything. It may have everything to do with the radiation that's up there, you know?
Yeah.
It's not just Van Allen belt radiation or anything, because you don't necessarily go through a Van Allen belt. You don't necessarily go through that type of radiation. But there's so much different radiation up there that it may just prematurely age you everywhere. I mean, it's hard to tell. And how do you protect yourself? You know, it may be impossible. And then there's the fact that we may it's space. We probably don't belong up there to begin with. Right.
Right.
That's probably the deal. We're meant to be here on this planet, right? And nowhere else. Our final story before we go to break. The most massive black hole ever seen has potentially been found. That's right. Here's our juvenile story before we go to break. It's the biggest black hole ever, Mallie. Scientists have discovered a black hole that is thought to be more than 36 billion times the mass of our sun.
Holy crap.
Yep, it could swallow up the sun. Black holes are perhaps the most unnerving of all celestial objects, and especially given that some of them are so large that they could swallow up not only the Earth, but the entire solar system. That's nothing to be proud of. Typical black holes are formed when particularly massive stars collapse, but there are still some others, in particular those that are much, much larger, that remain difficult to explain. Now scientists have discovered what could potentially be the single most massive black hole in the known universe, an absolute gargantuan monster 36 billion times more massive than the sun. How do you find that one? And then how do you report it to your boss, right? You're there at the telescope and you go, whoops, nope. You know, what'd you find over there, George? Nothing. Nope. You don't want to look. Nope.
Yeah.
You know, it is situated in a particularly large galaxy over 5 billion light years from Earth. This big old black hole. Despite its huge size, this black hole is actually dormant, meaning that it is relatively quiet and isn't actively consuming the matter around it. So it's a big old lazy black hole. Even so, this thing is a behemoth. To put it into perspective, the supermassive black hole at the center of our own galaxy is around 4.15 million solar masses. That's thousands of times less than this giant black hole we're talking about now. Exactly how it came to form and how it got so massive remains unclear. My guess, unhealthy diet, no exercise. I don't know any other way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take our break. When we come back, in our AI segment, I don't know how you feel about it. We're going to go a little light in the AI segment because we got a heavy newscast on the back end here. I don't know how you feel about AI in movies, but one company is planning on finishing an old movie and finishing the majority of this movie with AI. Decades after it has been released.
Oh, okay.
So we'll talk about whether a vision can be finished by AI. We'll talk about that when we come back. We're going to talk again, when we talk about movies, we'll talk about Conjuring. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not good. We'll talk about what the paranormal thought about the Conjuring Last Rites, even though it had a wonderful weekend at the box office. Evidently, the public thinks one thing, but the paranormal thinks another. We'll talk about how the paranormal weighed in after the box office weekend there. The Conjuring house is up for auction. We'll tell you about how you can get a hold of that house on Halloween. That's when it's going up for auction. Also, in the news, some Mormons believe that Bigfoot is the biblical Cain who killed Abel. We've got that story for you. That's coming up. The Cottingley Fairies photos went up for auction. We'll tell you the surprising price that they went for. That's coming up as well in our newscast today. And we will also tell you about, in our final story today, a man who's a little too big for his britches. That's coming up today. That is our supernatural news and Parashare today on the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio on a Wednesday, supernatural news and Parashare. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. Along with me is our queen of the paranormal, Mallie Fox. Is that still acceptable, Mallie? I'm not quite sure. Is that acceptable?
That I'm a queen? Sure.
Yes. Okay, great. All right. I'll throw that in there.
Dust off my tiara.
There you go. Yes.
I guess crown if I'm a queen.
Yes,
huh?
a crown. Yes. It wouldn't be a tiara. It'd be a crown.
Yeah.
Only a tiara for your princess.
Ah.
You want to be a princess of the paranormal? I'll make you a princess.
No.
Okay.
I like queen.
All right.
Thank you.
Queen. We'll make you queen. Queen for a day. That it shall be.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. If that's what makes you happy, then that's oh gosh, yeah, I did the word. So I guess that means we got to get into
You made me feel good, and then you did this.
Yeah, then I did this. Well, we'll just get out of the way.
I know, this is like my ex-boyfriend. Make me feel good, and then...
Wow.
Just kidding.
Wow, I got compared to him.
Well, at least you're not dead.
Oh! Well, again, haven't been in the sack with me. Speaking of being dead in the sack, Elon Musk. No, I don't know what that means. But he's our next story. He tried to trademark the names telepathy and telekinesis this past week.
Are you serious?
Yeah. You'd think you'd know, but you know, you're supposed to be a super genius, one, and two, you're a billionaire who's making money off this stuff. You probably should know. We're talking about Neuralink, the brain computer that helps you move things, right? You should know that you probably can't use telekinesis and telepathy and trademark those things, but he was hoping to use brain-computer interfaces to give people real-life superpowers and be able to trademark it and make some money off of it. Having previously been described by Musk as an answer to the existential threat of an artificial intelligence surpassing our own capabilities, Neuralink's work in enabling people to control computers using nothing but their own thoughts has certainly raised a few eyebrows in recent years. At a glance, it may seem like an unnecessary exercise in dabbling a bit too far beyond the line that most people are likely to feel comfortable with. Yet it does have the potential to make great strides in improving the lives of those with a variety of debilitating medical conditions ranging from locked-in syndrome to paralysis. It could also make it possible to enhance the human condition, providing powers that could range from superior vision to the ability to replay memories inside one's head. I don't know that I'd want to do that over and over again. I have some memories that would scare the hell out of not only me, but a lot of other people. Yeah.
Yeah. The vision I would like.
Yeah, the vision would be fun.
As I get older, my vision's getting worse.
Tell me about it. Yeah.
I know.
I have this one eye that it's given me nothing but trouble for about 10 years. And now I have floaties in my eye that I need to get rid of. It'd be nice to have some cybernetic help with that. To this end, the firm recently attempted to trademark names for some of the powers that will seemingly be obtainable through the use of this technology, mainly telekinesis and telepathy. They wanted to trademark those names or those terms, but as it turned out, another company, Prophetic, had already registered these names first.
Oh.
So you could register them, but too bad, too slow. Now you know.
Right.
All right. Owned by computer scientist Wesley Berry, Prophetic aims to pioneer a radical transformation of the human experience. Both Berry and Neuralink filed intent-to-use applications, which allow businesses and inventors to reserve trademark rights before using the mark in commerce. The U.S. Trademark Office wrote. Berry's application for telepathy was accepted in December of 2024 and for telekinesis in August of 2025, but the trademarks aren't fully registered until he shows that he's actually using them in commerce. Berry has 3 years to do so from acceptance. Otherwise, his applications would be considered abandoned and Neuralink's application would take priority. So there's still a slight chance that Elon could get those trademarks, but chances are not. I wouldn't think that Prophetic would let those go.
Right.
We'll see.
Well, maybe for a price.
I don't think they'd let those go quickly. Whoever corners this market and is able to do this is sitting on a ton of money.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, the technology and what you can do with that is endless. Imagine, look, Ma, no hands is an industry.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty big industry. So, yeah, I would think that that's going to make a ton of money. I mean, the things you could, I was going to say the things you can do with no hands. But see, my mind goes in the gutter. All right. Meanwhile, I told you about movies you could finish with AI. Mallie, if you had one movie that in your mind is unfinished or you could enhance with AI and maybe put another 30, 40 minutes on, do you have one in your head right now that you think, you know what, I could do better with AI?
No, I don't. Not off the top of my head. How about you?
As a Star Wars fan, The Last Jedi.
Oh.
I'd totally redo that movie with AI. It was, to me, it was horrible. But, you know, sorry, Rian Johnson. But there's a filmmaker out there. Let's just say a film company out there. An Amazon-backed firm, showrunner, led by Edward Sachi, who wants to take Orson Welles' lost movie and use AI to reconstruct a missing 43 minutes. Here's my problem with it. I'll tell you in a minute. I cringe when I see this.
Mm-hmm.
Edward Saatchi is using film as a test case for how Hollywood can overhaul production. The results won't be commercialized. The tech giant hasn't obtained rights from Warner Brothers or Concord. Since the rise of generative artificial intelligence in 2022, the technology has mostly been plugged into parts of the production pipeline as far as its deployment in Hollywood. Think visual effects, dubbing, and storyboarding. As it stands, it mostly is thought of as a tool to streamline certain processes and cut costs. But others have their sights set on completely overhauling the entertainment industry's use of AI. At the forefront, showrunner, which plans to reconstruct the destroyed 43 minutes of Orson Welles' The Magnificent Ambersons. Interesting. Amazon-backed showrunner announced on Friday a new AI model designed to generate long, complex narratives, ultimately building toward feature film-length live-action films for its platform, completely dedicated to AI content that allows users to create their own episodes of TV shows with a prompt. Just a couple of words. Over the next 2 years, it'll be utilized to recreate Orson Welles' follow-up to Citizen Kane, a chunk of which was lost after studio executives burned the footage. I'm getting the heebie-jeebies just thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
The endeavor marks the tech's further encroachment onto Hollywood as it eyes the exploitation of AI tools embroiled in controversy over the possibility that they were created using copyrighted materials from creators they could eventually displace. CEO Edward Saatchi ultimately envisioned showrunner as the Netflix of AI, in which users can interact with and make fan fiction-esque versions of the intellectual property that they're watching. Year by year, the technology is getting closer to prompting entire films with AI, Saatchi says. Today, AI can sustain a story beyond one short episode, but his company's technology is a step toward a scary, strange future of generative storytelling. The effort won't be commercialized because showrunner hasn't obtained the rights to the film from Warner Brothers Discovery or Concord. If they see a marketplace for it and a path for it outside of an academic context, then of course they have ownership of it, Saatchi says. The goal isn't to commercialize the 43 minutes, but to see them exist in the world after 80 years of people asking, might this have been the best film ever made in its original form? The Magnificent Ambersons was filmed in 1941 at RKO's Gower Street Studios, which is now Sunset Gower Studios in Los Angeles. The original cut was 131 minutes long, but Welles had conceded the right to the final cut. And once RKO took over editing, deleted almost a third of the negatives from the film without the director's approval to free vault space. That footage, by the way, was never found. So we don't know what Wells's original vision was for this movie. At that time, the film was screened for critics, and the Hollywood Reporter's Review in July of 1942 hailed the feature as a screen offering of magnificent artistic merits, noting that the 87-minute cut is far from easy to summarize in ordinary catchline phrases. In other words, it's complex.
Mm-hmm.
For RKO, Orson Welles is worth his weight in gold, the paper said. Showrunner's endeavor will deploy a fusion of AI and traditional film techniques to construct the lost footage. This includes shooting some sequences with live actors, with plans to use face and pose transfer techniques with AI tools to preserve the likenesses of the original actors in the movie. Extensively archived set footages from the film will serve as the foundation for recreating the scenes. You see what's wrong with this?
Well, I mean, if they come up with it, it's not. I mean, what if it's not what Orson Welles? I mean, what if it wasn't what he had planned for it to be?
That's part of it, yeah. The other part of it is, they say AI is what you put into it, but AI has a way of twisting things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like it's a choose your own adventure where you've got A, B, and C. Okay. And like, let's say actors say this line and you can go A, B, or C, and you can make that choice every time. And then it's the choose your own adventure. And then you go down a certain road and then it happens a certain way every time. Right. And then you have multiple choices that get you to the end of a predetermined story. AI will choose a different path for you every time.
Mm-hmm.
And the further you get away from that path and it becomes the user who puts in that path, it becomes a different story further away from Orson Welles' vision. And it's not Orson Welles' vision anymore. It's the public's vision of Orson Welles' creation. And that's why it shouldn't be in the public. I mean, it's in that way, it's fan fiction.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Fan fiction's fine. As long as you label it Orson Welles fan fiction.
Right.
You know, if it's an Elseworlds or a alternate universe, that's fine. But don't make it, don't make it that world. Don't tell me that this is the logical ending to the story. Like this is the lost 43 minutes. Like this is what Orson Welles would have wanted, or the estate would have wanted. Don't do that. It's a little bit of the problem I had with some of the future Star Wars stuff when Disney took over. I mean, it's okay. I'm at peace with whatever happens. And there's been some good stories that have come out of what Disney's done. But there's a lot of bad stuff that Disney's done. I mean, there's been a lot of stuff that you just look at and go, oh, no, thank you.
Yeah. I find it strange, though, that the studio destroyed the part of the film for storage space.
Oh, it's...
Isn't that what you said?
No. It's not for storage space. It's I think I hit the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. It's let me reread that here. It was where was that line? Where was it, Mallie? Where was that line? Essentially, they cut that 43 minutes. As a streamlined process and to cut costs. But let me find that line again. I think I the way I read it might have been a little off, but it wasn't a. Oh, yeah.
Gotcha.
The way you interpret it is not the way that. Here it is. They did it. They deleted almost a third of the negatives from the film without the director's approval to free vault space. So they had so much space in the vault to store physical negatives.
Right. So, and that's what I meant, like storage.
Yeah.
Like vault space would be storage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But to do that, to get rid of it, because you're short on storage is kind of odd to me, especially if it's Orson Welles. You know what I mean? Like you would pick like a lesser known film or you know what I mean? You wouldn't pick.
Well, at that point, they have no idea what's going to be a classic and what's not.
Okay.
So, to them, it's just, it's just film. And it was film that they have no idea what's going to be a classic, what's not, and what's going to be used and what's not. So they just get rid of it. to them, I suppose it's no sweat off their back.
Gotcha.
It's a kind of like, I can only tell you as far as an editor on this show, I edit a lot of stuff. And I've edited some stuff out of an interview I think is not necessary. And some people would go, why would you do that? Well, sometimes there's questions I've asked and I'm like, boy, that's redundant, or boy, that no one's ever going to miss that. It's just, it doesn't flow with the interview. It doesn't make for good flow. So I'll get rid of it. Or maybe we've just gone too long,
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. It's all true.
Lord knows you and I were long-winded.
Yeah. And you know what? There have been times where we're doing this show, Supernatural News, where we've gone long and I'll cut 2 or 3 stories.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, sometimes there's stories that don't make the show. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's exactly that. So, yeah. All right. Let's talk Conjuring, shall we? Speaking of movies, let's talk about the movie first. Conjuring Last Rites had a great box office over the weekend. People love it as a horror movie. They think it's going gangbusters as far as a horror movie goes. But those are people watching that movie that don't know the history of Ed and Lorraine Warren. They don't know the family, and they think. Well, let's face it, Mallie. They think that it's a great story and all's well that ends well, and it was a great ending chapter for the Conjuring series.
Mm-hmm. The commercial looks creepy.
It does. The commercial looks creepy, and it looks like they put together. It looks like they put together a pretty good ending to the franchise in that respect. But if you had anything to do with that case, if you were mentioned in the film, you're not enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. John Zaffis posted something tonight as we're recording this. He says, so after so many of my friends warning me about the Conjuring movie, The Last Rites, I went to see it. And yes, it's a very good horror movie, but walked away more confused about my family history. Cases and items of Ed and Lorraine Warren's work. Gee, they even have Judy as the youngest grandchild on the Miney side, and I am no longer the baby of the 3rd generation in the family. And it's not okay to just tell me it's a movie. Fuck that. Yeah. That's what he says. And it's not their last case. He goes on to say, Ed worked on cases up to 2001 when he went down, and Lorraine even longer. So much for legacy and history. Depending on how you look at the Warrens, they will go down in history as the most controversial paranormal couple ever. I know this much, they will always be remembered, that's for sure. Someone else who's involved in this movie, which is a huge, I shouldn't say huge part of the movie, but it was a fair amount of the movie, is Karen Smurl. Karen Smurl weighed in and said, for those who are wondering my thoughts on the new Conjuring movie, here we go. Let me start by saying that anyone at Warner Brothers, this is in capital letters, that I had contact with, well, great people. Respectful, kind, friendly, respectful, and just so down to earth. Yes, I'm a Conjuring fan, so as a fan, it was good. Great, actually. It was a really good horror movie in general. I definitely recommend it because everyone we took to watch with us definitely had some good reactions in the theater. I laughed a few times at them gasping and the no, don't go in theirs, and some covering their faces, LOL. As for the story, of all the talks and meetings we had with the writers, I can't believe they didn't once mention that this was the storyline that they were going with. Tony and Judy Spira were not involved, so the fact that they made it all about them was kind of shocking. There's a twist. I know they were trying to tie 2 stories together, but dear Lord, I mean, literally their involvement was non-existent. All right, in all fairness, Tony might have been there a few times. Judy never. I definitely have no ill will towards Tony or Judy. However, they just weren't a part of it. Oh, well, they wrapped it up well as a fan, but as a family, I don't know why they wasted our time even talking to us and stressing that they wanted to tell our story accurately and compassionately. That's all I have for now. P.S. Watch through the credits. So the argument isn't that it's a bad movie. Mm-hmm. It's a good movie. It's just that if you're going for accuracy, if you're going for something that looks even close to what the case is, you're out of luck.
Right.
You're not going to get anything close to accuracy. And what's terrible about that, Mallie, what's a shame, what's a crime, is that people are going to see this movie and go, that's what happened to Ed and Lorraine. I saw it. I saw it in a movie once.
Oh, yeah.
And the American public can't tell the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Because whatever they see on the screen, that's what happened in real life.
Right.
And they're going to screw it up.
But you always hear the story where it's supposedly based on a true story, and the people that it's based on, they meet with Hollywood and they think it's going to be close to their story, and then it's completely opposite once it's filmed and it's, you know, it's out there, and then the people will be like, that's not even close to what really happened. Especially with horror movies, you always hear the story like that's not really how it happened. It's always changed.
But it's always off a smidge. Like, you know, John Zaffis has been involved before in other movies, right? And he's always said, well, it's off a hair, but it's close. And never really had a real problem with it. But boy, it seems like he really has a problem with this one. And it's when multiple people in the paranormal are coming out and going, boy, did they swing and miss on this. You know, sure, it's a good movie, but boy, did they swing and miss. You know, they could have gotten at least some of the details right? I mean, to not get whole families right in order to make it fit in a script, come on. You know?
Did Tony and Judy say anything since in the movie they're portrayed that they're really involved, but they're not they weren't in real life? Did they say anything like, hey, it was kind of cool that it looked like we were really involved, but we weren't? Or did they just stay quiet?
Let's see here. Tony's got a lot on the sale of the, he's got his, let's see here. He's kind of stayed silent because he's had he was invited out to the screening, things like that. And a lot of times, you know, you play nice with the,
gotcha,
with the movie company, you know, he's got.
Because did he know that he was going to be in the movie a lot?
He knew. He had something.
Even though he really wasn't.
Yeah, he had something
involved.
He had something published back in December that he was going to be in the movie. So,
well, shame on him then.
Yeah, he knew. You know. Yeah, he knew. Yeah. I don't besmirch Tony or Judy for knowing that the movie was going to center around him. It is what it is. But you know, once you sell a story to Hollywood, it's out of your hands. They're going to shape it however they want. But I think you could be a little more vocal about, you know what, that's not how I want my family portrayed. Could you do something to change this or this or this? And if it's not the way that your family's portrayed, then maybe be a little vocal about it online. Maybe Tony should be saying something online instead of just acquiescing and not saying anything, you know? But maybe he's got to deal with the movie companies that to take Lorraine's stories and Ed and Lorraine's stories and develop them further for more stuff. So maybe he's being
I'm wondering.
quiet.
Oops, sorry.
No, so
Didn't
maybe
mean
he's
to cut you off.
No, that's fine. So maybe he's being quiet and not saying anything in the hopes that he can continue to develop those stories. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just curious if he gave. I mean, I don't know what his relationship is or how his relationship is with Zaphis, but I mean, I'm wondering if he gave him a heads up. I mean, if he knew that he was going to be in the movie a lot, and I'm wondering if he gave Zaphis a call and said, "Hey, this is how it's going to go down."
I don't think
so?
there's too much permission thrown around now. No, because the minute you say based on a true story, there's implied permission. And,
Well, no, I'm not saying permission from Zaphis. I'm just saying giving Zaphis a heads up, like, hey, it's not going to be portrayed the accurate way. Just a heads up as a family member.
I don't even think that much was run through Tony or Judy. I think they probably just gave him cliff notes as to, if you want to come visit the set one day, you can. There's not a lot that's run past the family once they write a script. And if they did that, if they were that caring with the family and sat down and ran everything through them and made sure they were happy with it, I mean, it would take forever to make a movie. And they really get that stuff out quick and get it made. So I don't think that they were that concerned about the families, about what they thought. So if they did care, they would have got the genealogy right.
Yeah, well, that's true too.
Yeah. So, but the Conjuring house may be available for you if the price is right and if you have enough, let's say, treats in your trick or treat bag. The news came out here recently that the Rhode Island farmhouse, made famous by the supernatural blockbuster The Conjuring, has been listed for auction on none other than Halloween. The antique homestead in the rural town of Burrillville has been listed on the auctioneer website J.J. Manning Auctioneers under a mortgagee's foreclosure auction, which is typically a public sale where a lender sells a property because a borrower has defaulted on their mortgage payments. This antique farmhouse that has become famous for historical paranormal sightings and activity, auctioneers wrote in the listing. The auction, which was confirmed by town officials on Friday, is scheduled on the website for October 31st, which is also Halloween. The date is fitting for the home, which has become a draw for paranormal enthusiasts from around the world. The property, which includes 8.5 acres of land, that's a hefty size lot there for you, was the last sold in 2022 to Hellfire LLC for $1.5 million, according to land records. The company is controlled by Jacqueline Nunez, a self-described medium who has faced a litany of issues in the town over the past year and in the paranormal community as well.
Yeah.
You think she hasn't? Go talk to Jay Haas.
Yeah.
He'll tell you about half of them alone. Or go see his YouTube. You can go see half of the videos there about the Conjuring house. After purchasing the property, Nunez transformed it into a tourist attraction where people could come visit the property, explore for spirits, and even stay overnight for a price. But problems started bubbling up last August when Target 12, which is a news story, first reported that Nunez fired her employee after she said the spirit of the farmhouse's 19th century owner, John Arnold, told her the manager had been stealing. Probably not a good way to get off on the right foot with your employees. The firing spurred a legal fight over back pay and resulted in other former workers coming forward, alleging that they had also faced issues working for Nunez. Burrillville officials then revoked Nunez's entertainment license last November, saying there were issues with the property, along with her application with the town and her interactions with local police. Nunez, however, refused to cancel trips to the property that had already been scheduled, which ultimately left many visitors in a lurch and scrambling to recoup funds after spending hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars to visit that property. Nunez has also had personal disputes, as we mentioned, with other people from the paranormal community, including Ghost Hunters TV star Jason Hawes, who ended up filing a police report alleging Nunez was harassing him and his family. Surprisingly, Nunez was not immediately reached for comment on Friday evening about the auction. Now, Andrea Perrin did comment online about the auction.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, interestingly enough, in a message on behalf of the Perrin family, she says, "Our phones have exploded, utterly inundated with questions. I will attempt to answer the most pertinent of them, and I hope everyone finds this satisfactory. Drama and negative energy is anathema for me while I continue to battle cancer. So I will keep my comments short and sweet. We are thrilled to see the farm go into foreclosure. The only hope left for its future. The bank will protect its assets, magic, and charm. I know personally who I want to purchase the farm, and no, I'm not telling you who it is. I see the farm as having a destiny, and I truly believe it is time to close this ugly chapter and begin the next one, filled with promise. It will require steady, loving hands and more than its fair share of restoration. Emotional maturity is a must, with a keen mind and full heart. I know just the right man, and if I can convince him to take this leap of faith, all will be right with my heart." And she says, "Heart God, save the farm." Hashtag save the farm. Who knows? Perhaps the entire paranormal community will come together and help me manifest its destiny. Stranger things have happened. With that being said, I'm going to throw out who I believe will probably come forward and scoop it up. And it's not going to be a surprise.
Okay.
First of all, Mallie, I want to know who you think is going to scoop it up.
Well, everyone keeps saying Zach or Matt Rife because Matt just bought the other home. Mm-hmm. And Zach, I mean, what he only owns the museum. He doesn't. Right. Oh, wait, he owns that other home though. Well,
he bought the one in Indiana, but he bought it to.
But he tore that down.
Yep.
But then he has the home that the owners were killed by the Manson family.
You're right. Yeah.
So he still owns that. But he has the finances to purchase it. So I'm trying to think who else would be. I mean, those are the two names that keep getting thrown around.
Which I think are pie in the sky and wishful thinking.
Right. I don't know. Who do you think?
I'll give you the outsider's chance, and I'll give you the realistic chance.
Okay.
Because of what the list price is probably going to be, or the opening price is probably going to be.
Right. Because what's the opening price?
Oh, I don't know. They didn't list.
Oh, gotcha.
But my guess is the opening price is probably going to be, if it was bought for, what, 1.5?
Uh-huh.
The bank is probably going to recoup what? They're probably going to try and get at least a third for it, you think?
Maybe. Oh my God, please don't tell me it's that Ghost Adventure guy.
Yeah, U.S. Ghost
Adventurers.
Yep, U.S. Ghost Adventures.
Oh, no.
Yep, I think they're the ones who they have the inside, and I think they're the ones who are going to end up buying it. The outside chance would be that Jason Hawes himself would step forward and buy it.
Okay.
But I think that's who Andrea is hinting at.
Right.
I think that
Hawes.
Yep, is that Jason Hawes would come forward and buy it.
Oh God, I hope it doesn't go under that other guy.
But my guess is that again, U.S. Ghost Adventures has the ones who own both the Velisca Axe house and the Lizzie Borden house.
Right, and then he owns the LaLaurie mansion too. He lives there.
Yep. He owns the LaLaurie mansion. I think they're always looking for big profile haunted houses and big profile haunted residents. I think he's just looking for another one of these to open up, and they're rare.
Yeah.
But this one is open.
God.
And it's available. And I think it's going to be hard for anyone to get it out of his grasp. I think he's coming with a sack of cash. So.
Son of a biscuit.
Yep.
Because with an auction, you have to have the money right then and there.
That's right. And he does.
Fudge.
So, whoever wants to buy it better have a sack of cash and be ready to go.
You got a month. A little over a month.
That's right. A little over a month to get your stuff together and go get the Conjuring house. Because I would lay even money. I'd even lay a month's salary on the fact that I think that U.S. Ghost Adventures is after this and is going to get it. I don't think it's any surprise.
Oh, man.
I don't think it's any shock.
I just don't like the idea that they're buying, these iconic haunted places that they're scooping up. I mean, they have every right to, but It just sucks that they are. It's like becoming a monopoly.
Well, and that's the thing. There's, does it fall into a monopoly or any type of antitrust thing where,
yeah,
one company is, or does it fall under, the hotel rule where, they're a hotelier where they, it's just another franchise. It's just another hotel franchise,
Right.
They're just adding another franchise to their hotel chain. So, they can claim that. If someone tried to claim a monopoly, they'd say, well, it's just another franchise in our hotel chain.
Yeah.
We're just adding on. It's not a monopoly. There's nothing special about it that makes it a monopoly.
They just don't have a good reputation for their walking tours and stuff.
So that
son of a biscuit.
That is where I see it going, kids. So
dang nabbit.
Well, it's not a done deal. Not a done deal. Again, the auction has to take place and people have to bid. So you got some time, folks. I tell you what, I'll put a link to the description in the description of the show to that story, the Conjuring House auction story, so you can go check out the auction yourself. And maybe you can point a millionaire into the kitty, so to speak, and they can go bid on the house. Mm-hmm. So you can keep it. You can keep the competition open. So maybe all of you can get a hold of Jay Hawes and point him in the direction of that house. Hell, I'll do it.
Does he think it's haunted, or does he think it's just overrated?
I don't know. I've never asked Jay, but I'll point Jay in the direction of the Conjuring House. Yeah, I mean, he's been passionate about it.
Right.
He's been very passionate about the Conjuring House. So I got to imagine he'll put a bid in. But I suppose he's got a ceiling as to how much he'll bid.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, folks, you got to remember this too. Once somebody puts in a bid, you got to support it. If they open it up for tours, you got to support it. So, just don't let it sit there. Mm-hmm. Keep it a healthy business. So, all right, let's move on to our next story. We're falling desperately behind here. Interesting story out of Japan here, Mallie. A foreign tourist steals an offering and chugs booze in a Japanese cemetery, sparking a police investigation.
Oh.
Yeah. People both living and dead in Japan have reason to be angry at this particular moron. In early August, an Australian tourist who was visiting the town of Fujika Waguchiko in Yamishi Prefecture loaded videos to social media of himself in a local cemetery. Though most people would say it's sort of weird to photograph or film in a cemetery, Japan has no adamant religious taboos against it. And provided the videos were of a discreet and respectful nature, that probably would have been the end of the story. Instead, though, one of the videos shows the man approaching a gravesite where either family members, friends, or other loved ones had a canned Chu-Hai cocktail. I have no idea what that cocktail is. As an offering for the deceased. The Australian man walks up to the tombstone, places a coin on it, then picks up the can, cracks it open, and chugs it. He then motions to tap the empty can against the tombstone as though he's clinking a cheers at a bar or a barbecue. Absolutely none of this is acceptable behavior in Japanese culture. While offerings of food and drink, including alcohol, are commonly left by family and friends, those are for the memory of the deceased. They are most certainly not refreshments for some traveling ditz to help himself to, and no, slapping some coins onto the tombstone and treating it like it's a vending machine or convenience store counter does not make it any less offensive. Now, for the record, monetary donations made by visitors to temples and shrines in Japan should be made at collection boxes like the ones in front of the main hall and not left at individual graves, especially the grave of someone you don't know. In other uploaded videos, the man shows himself tossing the empty can to the ground inside the cemetery, brandishing a model pistol and swinging around an Ida Toba, which is a wooden grave marker bearing posthumous Buddhist names of individual members of the deceased family.
Ooh.
Yeah. Japanese graves are communal to the family, which he apparently removed from one of the graves. So he desecrated a grave. Though the videos were uploaded in early August, it wasn't until the end of the month that they began being noticed in large numbers by people in Japan. The response, understandably, has been an angry one, with comments including, "Would you be okay with someone doing this sort of thing at your parents' grave? And don't ever come to Japan again and apologize, grave robber." The article says, as it's been discussed before, it can sometimes be hard for foreign visitors to firmly grasp Japan's attitudes on religion. And unlike Christianity or Islam, there's no practice of ordinary people attending weekly or daily organized prayer sessions. Even compared to other Buddhist cultures, Japan's take on the faith involves less formalized ritual or rigid protocol, and Shinto has little, if any, hardline dogma. None of that, though, means that Japan is cool with people of any nationality being flippant or disrespectful towards its religious traditions, especially those involving preserving the memories of loved ones. And really, this is one of those cases where having even an ounce of common decency or respect for anyone other than oneself should be more to trigger some self-restraint, but apparently the tourists lacked even those modest quantities of mental and empathetic capability. Kind of just a disgusting and even kind of a story that'll get you angry, that's for sure.
Yeah, very.
Yeah. We had told you earlier that the full set of Cottingley Fairies pictures went on sale at auction. And surprisingly, they fetched a very low amount of money, Mallie. A complete set of the world-famous Cottingley Fairies photographs. These are the originals. These aren't copies. Including the one the creator maintained was real, have sold at auction. And they sold for only £3,100. That's around $3,000.
Right.
Yeah. The 5 images were taken between 1917 and 1920 by 16-year-old Elsie Wright and her 9-year-old cousin Frances Griffiths in the village of Cottingley near Bingley in Yorkshire. The hoax fooled many, including Sherlock Holmes author Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who was so convinced of their authenticity that he published them in a national magazine in 1920. Despite admitting 4 of the images were faked in 1983, Francis always maintained that the final photograph of that set was genuine. Which, if you maintain 4 of them were fake, why would the 5th one be genuine?
Right.
But she admitted that. James Laverick from John Taylor's auction house in, I believe it is Louth or Louth, Lincolnshire, said there have been some speculation that the 5th photo may have been due to a double exposure on the same negative. That's why she might not have been aware of the second exposure and that it occurred, and that's why she believed that it was a genuine photo of fairies. Or maybe fairies do exist, he joked. The girls later admitted that they used colored paper cutouts and hat pins to stage their scenes near the stream at the end of Elsie's garden. The collection was sent to the auction house in Louth by a family from Devon who realized that the images were or what the images were after seeing them featured on the BBC Antiques Roadshow. In July, 2 prints of the fairy photographs fetched £2,600 when they were auctioned off. So prints of the photographs got £2,600.
Mm-hmm.
The real thing got $3,100.
Right.
It's bizarre.
I thought it would at least get more, at least double than that.
Yeah, yeah. Mr. Laverick added, nobody knows how many were produced. They occasionally come up at auction, but they're very rare, almost as most have been destroyed. Okay, they're very rare, but £3,100.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bizarre. I find that bizarre. So little money for such a
Right.
a rare artifact in the paranormal.
Right.
Yeah. Bizarre. Our next story has to do with a teenage God's influencer who became the first millennial saint. A boy who has collated stories of miracles on his website has been canonized years after his death at just the age of 15. Carlo Acutis, a young gamer and web designer who documented many alleged miracles on his website as a way to spread Catholic teachings, sadly died of leukemia in 2006 at the age of 15. In the years that followed, Pope Francis attributed 2 miracles to the teenager, enough for him to be canonized as a saint. The first miracle he did the day of his funeral, the boy's mother said. A woman with breast cancer prayed for Carlo, and she had to start chemotherapy, and the cancer disappeared completely. Carlo's canonization had been scheduled to take place back in April, but ended up being postponed due to the Pope's death. More than 1 million people were thought to have made the pilgrimage to the town of Assisi in Italy, where the young boy's body lay preserved in wax. Despite the recognition, however, Carlo was not particularly devout during his short life. He used to play Super Mario video games on the old Nintendo consoles. And I've always loved video games, said Diego Sarkeesian, a young Catholic who had traveled to the canonization earlier this year, only to find himself attending the Pope's funeral instead. The fact that you can think of a saint doing the same things as you, wearing jeans, it feels so much closer than what other saints have felt in the past, Sarkeesian went on to say. It's kind of interesting, the millennial saint.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I'm never getting canonized, so I don't think anybody can relate to me. But,
nor am I, so.
Yeah, so.
Far from it.
Too bad, so sad, kids. But
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you caught this on the news last week, Mallie, but did you catch the clip of Vladimir Putin and President Xi of China getting caught in a hot mic talking about immortality?
Yes.
All right. We've got a bit of a story about that. I thought it was an interesting moment, but they were discussing achieving immortality in a candid hot mic moment. We're not talking about being remembered immortally. We're talking about actual immortality, like the two of them talking about gene swapping or talking about gene therapy. The Russian and Chinese leaders had a brief discussion about ways to live forever at their recent meeting. Have you ever wondered what sort of things that leaders such as Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping actually talk about when they're not discussing politics? Well, notable conversation between them was picked up on a hot mic when they were walking with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un at an event in Beijing last week. Now they say at 70, you're only a child, Xi told Putin through a translator. Using biotechnology, Putin replied, it will soon be possible to transplant human organs continuously, grow younger with age, and perhaps even achieve immortality. Some have predicted that by the end of the century, humans could potentially live up to 150 years, Xi replied. While the exchange was likely little more than small talk, it emphasized the interest both leaders have in remaining in power for as long as possible, even if it involves extending their lifespan. While it is unlikely that either of them will have access to such technology anytime soon, what they said does have merit. It will likely be possible to live for longer in the future. Of course, access to such therapies will likely only be reserved for the rich and powerful. Leaders like Putin and Xi will almost certainly be at the top of that list. I thought it was freaky to see the two of them talking about, we'll just keep swapping out organs until we're, 150. I thought, wait a minute. If you're talking about it, that means you must have access to it.
Right.
Bizarre stuff. All right. There's a story here, Mallie, about the fact that some Mormons believe that Bigfoot is the biblical Cain who killed Abel. I've actually heard this story before.
Oh, have you?
Yes.
I haven't.
You haven't heard this before? Okay. There's an obscure piece of Mormon folklore that tells the story of how Cain was cursed to wander the earth for his sins. I think I actually heard this from a Mormon, is where I heard it. Don't quote me, but I've heard the story.
Okay.
A number of possible explanations for the Bigfoot legend have been put forward over the years, ranging from mistaken identity to alien visitors. But one origin story that is perhaps not as well known is that found in the writings of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or the Mormons. Back in the 19th century, it was written in Mormon, I can't say Mormon for some reason, I want to say Mormon, in Mormon folklore that the biblical, I can't talk today, that the biblical figure Cain, who killed his brother Abel, was cursed to wander the earth as punishment for the deed. Furthermore, these writings allege Cain and Bigfoot are in fact one and the same. It's an interesting theory. The idea seems to have stemmed from the story of Mormon leader David W. Patton, who claimed to have encountered a dark and hairy figure who told him he was an outcast who wandered the forest. There have also been other stories of such encounters in parts of the U.S., especially in Utah, where tales of wild men have circulated for centuries. While this idea isn't actually part of the official Mormon teachings, it remains an intriguing piece of forgotten folklore that might even help explain the origins of the Bigfoot phenomena. Yeah, I had heard it from somebody that there was a belief that Bigfoot was actually Cain.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember who told me, but it was really, really interesting. I found it fascinating. But I was like, there's no way.
Right.
I mean, he'd still be carrying a slingshot, right? You'd think. I don't know. I mean, at least I think so. Right. All right. Russia's doomsday radio is transmitted two more mystery messages. Somewhere in Russia, an enigmatic signal has been broadcasting for reasons that still remain unclear. The mysterious shortwave radio station, which is known as UVB-76, but also sometimes known as the buzzer. Thank you, comrades, for listening to the buzzer. I can just imagine a Russian puker DJ being on it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the buzzer. Has been broadcasting a signal from somewhere within Russia for several decades. Its indeterminate purpose, coupled with the strange and disjointed nature of its broadcast, has earned it something of a reputation among radio enthusiasts around the world. Ardent listeners have managed to pick up all manner of strange sounds from the station, ranging from hums and buzzes to clips of cartoon characters, disjointed sentences, numbers being recited by a synthetic voice, and other seemingly random words, phrases, and sounds. This has led to a great deal of debate over exactly what these broadcasts mean and whether there's some overreaching purpose to UVB-76 that nobody has been able to decipher. The enigmatic station came to life once more on Monday of this week when it transmitted two cryptic voice messages consisting of code words such as NZHTI and hotel, as well as strings of numbers such as, and I think these are all Powerball numbers except for one, 38, 965, 78, 58, 88, and 37, which could be coordinates. Who knows? Exactly what these messages mean and who they're intended for remains unclear. Some say UVB-76 is an old Soviet dead man switch that triggers a nuclear attack on the West when it stops buzzing. That's kind of scary. That's according to freelance radio monitor Ari Bender. Others say that it is a homing beacon for UFOs or a mind control device with which the Russians can program your mind. Either one doesn't sound all that great.
Right.
In the past, it was said that it was a remote control station belonging to the Chernobyl nuclear power plant.
Oh.
And if so, someone needs to take it offline because Chernobyl hasn't worked in a long, long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless it's a ghost.
It's a ghost station.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no fingers to work it, to turn it off. That's for sure. There's a mystery fog out there that was sprayed on U.S. cities in 1950. And it's being linked to a secret army project. This is one of those black projects that nobody has ever told us about until now. 70 years ago, neighborhoods in several big U.S. cities were sprayed with a mysterious chemical compound, and it's now just coming to light. The experiment, which took place in parts of St. Louis, Missouri, and Fort Wayne, Indiana, as well as in several other cities in both the U.S. and Canada, created a thick, foul-smelling chemical fog that residents reported had stuck to their skin, coated roads and rooftops, and had made children sick. The purpose of the experiment was to study how two chemical weapons might spread through Soviet cities during the Cold War. And while the chemicals used were supposed to be harmless, it turned out that this was definitely not the case. The spray contained zinc cadmium sulfide, a powder known to cause cancer.
Oh.
So the government gave our citizens cancer.
Yeah, that's not good.
The Army had maintained that the amounts used were low enough not to cause any harm, but a key report detailing the health risks from the experiment later went missing, leaving doubts over whether the Army was aware that what they were doing was harmful to local residents. In later years, people who had actually lived in these areas at the time would come forward to tell how they and their family members had suffered from a disproportionate number of health complications, in particular from various different types of cancers and respiratory diseases. They didn't ask our permission, said former Pruitt-Igoe resident Cecil Hughes. We didn't ask for them to spray us. My government used me like I was a guinea pig. Another former resident, James Caldwell, described suffering from a rare form of lymphoma. You couldn't even see through it. It was that thick, and it would adhere to our skin, he recalled. And as far as the guys on top of the buildings, well, they tried to portray them as maintenance workers. But what are the maintenance workers doing in hazmat suits?
Yeah. Oh.
That's a good question. They also said they had masks and goggles. Sadly, however, despite official admissions that the spraying took place, no definitive case has ever been brought against those responsible to the harm or for the harm that they caused. Oh, that is just not only sad, but creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, why test it on your own population?
Right.
You know? Speaking of sad and creepy, we'll go to the Las Vegas desert, where there's a mystery compiling as 70 piles of human ashes are found outside of Las Vegas. An investigation has been launched after piles of ash and bone fragments were found out in the desert. A gruesome mystery unfolded last week after approximately 70 piles of cremated human remains were discovered scattered around an area of remote desert near Las Vegas. The alarm was raised when an anonymous individual reported the find to TV station 8 News Now. The remains included bone fragments and ash, which were either deposited in piles or strewn around the area. Some of the residue was even found in bushes and on cacti. Fragments of zip ties and broken pieces of urns were also found. It is thought that the remains had been there for quite some time, as there was evidence of weathering. The Bureau of Land Management has since opened an investigation in an attempt to determine how the remains had ended up at this remote, unremarkable location in such large quantities. An analysis has indicated that the remains had been professionally cremated, suggesting that a funeral home might have tried to dispose them by dumping them out in the desert. How they managed to do that without being found out remains unclear. The presence of zip ties is also particularly odd. Investigations remain ongoing. It kind of reminds me a little bit of, did you see that Morticians series on HBO?
No, but it's on my list to watch.
I've seen one out of the 3 episodes. I need to finish it, but The first episode will chill you to your core.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is interesting.
But the zip ties is a weird thing. I mean, yeah, why do you need zip ties if you have urns and ashes?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, that's definitely weird. Just a couple of stories and then we're out of here for the day. Scientists discover a way to generate electricity from ice.
Oh.
In our neck of the woods, you could always use that, especially to charge your phone.
Yeah.
Thanks to a remarkable breakthrough, again, one day it might be possible to use ice to charge up your phone. It could be the middle of winter, Mal. You may need a charge real quick on your phone. Just step outside. The discovery, which was spearheaded by the Institute of Nanoscience of Barcelona, concerns the phenomena of flexoelectricity. Remember that term.
Okay.
Which is where ordinary ice can generate electricity when it is subjected to mechanical deformation. Under certain extreme cold environments, electric polarization builds up on the ice's surface. This, in fact, may help to explain how charge accumulates in thunderstorm clouds. In practical terms, scientists were able to produce a measurable electrical charge in a lab when ice slabs were gently bent between two metal plates. In the future, the electromechanical capabilities of ice could make it a viable electricity source in certain situations, in particular in polar regions where ice is abundant. The technology might also have applications both in space and on other planets. So there you go. Mm-hmm. Just bend a little ice between metal plates.
Okay. So not an ice cube. It has to be bigger surface.
Yeah. You can't rub two ice cubes together and get yourself some. Yeah.
Can't just reach in the freezer.
That's right. Do you consider killer whales cute or deadly?
Well, I know they're deadly, but they are cute, though.
They are kind of cute, yeah. Some crews were left stranded as orcas attack more boats off the coast of Spain. I don't know why they're getting mean over in Spain, but the attacks are the latest in a long series of incidents involving killer whales over the last few years. The seaborne mammals were first observed deliberately ramming boats back in 2020. And since then, it seems to have spread far and wide, with prominent incidents being reported last year in the waters off of Spain and Portugal. Experts believe that this behavior may have started with an adult female named White Gladys, who sounds like White Gladys, who sounds like she probably spikes your candy bars at Halloween, who survived some sort of traumatic event, such as being injured by a collision with a boat. Young orcas then started copying her, and then the trend spread among the population. So White Gladys started it all.
Oh.
While it had seemed as though the phenomena had died down recently, reports from Spain indicate that the killer whales are at it again, this time tearing the rudder off a German sailboat and then repeatedly ramming it while it was being towed back to safety by the authorities. There are also several other reports of similar recent attacks in the region. The truth is we were frightened. In fact, we completely freaked out when we realized the orcas were hitting the boat, said Valentin Otero, who's the owner of the boat that had to be towed. Previously, leading marine biologist Alex Zerbini of the International Whaling Commission had stated that the most likely explanation for the ongoing attacks is that the young orcas may simply be mimicking the behavior as a form of cultural tradition. So just because, it's like Thanksgiving, it's time to go ram a boat.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird behavior. Essentially, ramming into boats has become something of a fad for them, like a Tamagotchi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Gladys.
Yeah, thanks, White Gladys. You couldn't find anything better to do. And finally, our palate cleanser for today is about a man who's too big for his britches. As a matter of fact, he's the world's tallest ever man. And there's rare new footage of him, Mallie. The previously unreleased footage shows Robert Wadlow, officially the tallest man ever recorded. He was born in Illinois in 1918, and Robert Wadlow was taller than his father by the time he was just 8 years old. And he was so large. How large was he? He was so large that a custom desk had to be created for him at an elementary school.
Wow.
That's how big he was. By the time he graduated high school, he was 8 feet 4 inches tall.
Whoa.
Yeah. And his growth didn't stop there. It wasn't long before Wadlow became something of a celebrity, standing at 8 feet 11.1 inches. I can't even say it. It's that tall. He wasn't just the world's tallest living man. He was the tallest man in recorded history. Even today, there has never been anyone taller than Robert Wadlow. During his short life, he traveled all over the world. He met lots of famous people and wowed crowds in his enormous stature. Sadly, his size also brought with it health complications, resulting in his death at the age of just 22 years old.
Oh, he was young.
Yeah. Now, new, never-before-seen footage of Wadlow has been published for the first time by Guinness World Records. It was provided by Bruce Jensen, whose family lived next to the Wadlows in Illinois. So I tell you what, I'll post this as well in the description of this program so that you can watch the video of Robert Wadlow and see exactly, I'll show you real quick here, Mallie, just how big this guy was. Take a look at how big he is compared to this guy he's shaking hands with.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he's pretty big.
And how big he is compared to standing next to a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that huge?
Yeah.
Big guy. So, so I'll post this so you can watch the video from Guinness World Records and see exactly how tall Robert Wadlow really was. So there you go. All right. That'll do it for today. I believe we can still see reruns of you on the Science Channel, can't we, Mallie?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am there.
You're still popping up. Still popping up on the old TV. I know I am.
Still popping up.
I know I am too on Paranormal Night Shift. People keep telling me they see me.
It's fun.
I like being seen on TV, even though I've lost 50 pounds since I've been on TV. It's kind of fun to everyone every once in a while goes, "There's Fat Timmy."
Oh, they don't say Fat Timmy.
Yeah, they do. It's kind of fun.
No,
though.
they don't.
Yeah, they say, "Look at that pudgy Timmy." Eat another Twinkie, Timmy. No, I'm just,
Get in my belly.
get in my belly. I'm just kidding. Yeah. So you can see us both on the old TV. Otherwise, tomorrow on the big program, Mel, an old friend is going to be with us. Jason Offit is with us, and he has a brand new book out there called Chasing North American Monsters, including the Fat Timmy that's on Paranormal Night Shift. See how I tied that together?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. That's not the entire title of the book, of course. No, it's Chasing North American Monsters. It's actually came in at number 85 on Amazon's book list this week. So. Oh,
speaking of coming in at 85, what did I see about us coming in number 3?
Oh, I mentioned it yesterday. I'll mention it today. So, again, a hearty congratulations to you guys, to you, to Jessica, to Travis,
and to you.
Well, I don't do anything but pass the ball. That's all I do. In this. That and I sweep the floors around here. That's all I do. So there's a chart out there, and I was telling Jess about this yesterday, of the 100 best paranormal podcasts. And 62,000 people have visited this 100 best paranormal podcasts that are out there from FeedSpot. And Darkness Radio is number 3.
Yay!
The only ones better than us, supposedly, are Real Ghost Stories Online and Last Podcast on the Left.
Okay.
Everybody else is eating our dust.
Well, thank you, everyone who listens to us.
Yeah. So, I was impressed. Welcome to Night Vale is number 6. That's a pretty big podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spooked is number 8. Monsters Among Us, number 11. There's some pretty big podcasts here. Mysterious Universe is number 13. Our buddy Jim Harold was, This Paranormal Life is number 18. Real Life Ghost Stories, 21. I'm just going through the list. Jim Harold's Campfire is number 24. So I thank you to FeedSpot. Thank you to everyone who listens. We're humbled. We're grateful. That's all I can say about that. But thank you.
Yes, very cool.
Yeah.
Love it.
So we're again, we try to put out the very best product we can for all of you, and each week we're excited and happy to be here, and we'll continue to put out the best product possible. So, and tomorrow is no exception. Jason Offutt will be with us. We'll talk about chasing North American monsters. So, and again, if you have a guest you want to hear, send it to me, tim@darknessradio.com. But yeah, that's the and that's just the latest chart. You know, folks, we don't toot our own horn very often, but if you go to Apple Podcasts, you look in the hobbies category. Darkness Radio is in the if not the top 10, the top 15 every week. You know, the fact of the matter is, and I won't toot my own horn, but I will tell you, I've got the best damn team in podcasting, and that's the honest to God truth.
That's so sweet. And
I wouldn't trade them for anything. So that the fact of the matter is there's a reason why they chart week in and week out. So you when I say it's the best in paranormal podcasting, it is. And that's no lie. I'm not lying when I say that. I can say it with confidence. So
check us in the mail.
Thank you. The chipmunks are eating me out of house and home, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. You can buy some more blueberries.
Yes, I can buy some more blueberries. Spud, thanks you.
Yeah.
But no, I'm serious. So yeah. But it's when you see charts like that from FeedSpot, it's just validation that there's good work being done here. So. And again, I thank each and every one of you who are either watching on YouTube or listening to the podcast, wherever you're listening to it, whether it be on Apple, Spotify, if you're listening to it on the app, if you're listening to it, wherever you're listening to it, maybe even on YouTube. You know, YouTube podcast is a big thing now. So wherever you're listening to the podcast or watching the podcast, if you're watching the podcast as well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. So, but with that, we will leave you today. Again, thank you so much for listening and watching. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a phone. I don't know, it's a bad joke. But we thank you so much for watching and listening. For Mallie Fox, I'm Tim Dennis. Join us tomorrow with Jason Offutt for more of the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio.